Hello, DC Everest Evergreens. All right, we're going to be reading pages 109 to 136. And remember, we're in the winter time right now, okay? So thinking about that as we read. Scrubbing up dust. Walking past the Crystal Hotel, I saw Jim Martin down on his knees. He was scraping up mud that had dried to crust after the rain mixed with dust Sunday last. When I got home, I took a good look at the steps and the porch and the windows. I saw them with Ma's eyes and thought about how she'd been haunting me. I thought about Ma, who would have washed clothes, beaten furniture, aired rugs, scrubbed floors, down on her knees, brush in hand, breaking that mud like the farmers break sod, always watching over her shoulder for the next duster to roll in. My stubborn Ma, she'd be doing it all with my brother Franklin to tend to. She never could stand a mess. My father doesn't notice the dried mud. At least he never tells me. Not that he tells me much of anything these days. With Ma gone, if the mud's to be busted, the job falls to me. It isn't the work I hate, the knuckle-breaking work of beating mud out of every blessed thing, but every day my fingers and hands ache so bad, I think I should just let them rest. Let the dust rest. Let the world rest. But I can't leave it rest on account of Ma haunting. January 1935. Outlined by dust. My father stares at me while I sit across from him at the table, while I wash dishes in the basin, my back to him, the picked and festered bits of my hands in agony. He stares at me, and as I emptied the wash water at the roots of Ma's apple trees. He spends long days digging for the electric train folks when they can use him, or working here nursing along the wheat, what there is left of it, or digging the pond. He sings sometimes under his breath, even now, even after so much sorrow, he sings a man's song, deep with what has happened to us. It doesn't swing lightly the way Ma's voice did, the way Miss Freeland's voice does, the way Mad Dog sings. My father's voice starts and stops, like a car short of gas, like an engine choked with dust, but then he clears his throat and the song starts up again. He rubs his eyes the way I do, with his palms out. Ma never did that, and he wipes the milk from his upper lip, same as me, with his thumb and forefinger. Ma never did that either. We don't talk much. My father never was a talker. Ma dying hasn't changed that. I guess he gets the sound out of him with the songs he sings. I can't help thinking how it is for him without Ma, waking up alone, only his shape left in the bed, outlined by the dust. He always smelled a little like her first thing in the morning when he left her in bed and went out to do the milking. She'd scuff into the kitchen a few minutes later, bleary-eyed, to start breakfast. I don't think she was ever really meant for farm life. I think once she had bigger dreams, but she made herself over to fit my father. Now he smells of dust and coffee, tobacco and cows. None of the musky woman smell left that was Ma. He stares at me. Maybe he is looking for Ma. He won't find her. I look at him. I stand like him. I walk across the kitchen floor with that long-legged walk of his. I can't make myself over the way Ma did. And yet, if I could look in the mirror and see her in my face, if I could somehow know that Ma and baby Franklin lived on in me, but I can't. But I can't be. I'm my father's daughter. January 1935. The President's Ball. All across the land, couples dancing arm in arm, hand in hand at the birthday ball. My father puts on his best overalls. I wear my Sunday dress, the one with the white collar, and we walk to town, to the Legion Hall, and join the dance. Our feet flying, me and my father, on the wooden floor whirling, to Arlie Wanderdale and the Black Mesa Boys. Till 10, when Arlie stands up from the piano to announce we raised $33 for infantile paralysis, a little better than last year. And I remember last year when Ma was alive and we were crazy excited about the baby coming, and I played at this same party for Franklin D. Roosevelt and Joyce City and Arlie. Tonight, for a little while in the bright hall, folks were almost free of dust, almost free of debt, almost free of fields of withered wheat. Most of the night, I think I smiled, and twice my father laughed. I imagine. January 1935. Lunch. No one's going hungry at school today. The government sent canned meat, rice, potatoes. The bakery sent loaves of bread. And Scotty Moore, George Nail, and Willie Harkins brought in milk, fresh, creamy milk, straight from their farms. Real lunch, and then stomachs full and feeling fine for classes in the afternoon. The little ones drank themselves into white mustaches. They ate and ate until pushing back from their desks, their stomachs round. They swore they'd never eat again. The older girls, Elizabeth and Lorraine, helped Miss Freeland cook, and Hillary and I, we served and washed, our ears ringing with the sounds of satisfied children. February 1935. Guests. In our classroom this morning, we came in to find a family no one knew. They were shy, a little frightened, embarrassed. A man and his wife, pretty far along with a baby coming. A baby coming. 2 little kids and a grandma. They moved into our classroom during the night. An iron bed and some pasteboard boxes. That's all they had. They'd cleaned the room first and arranged it, making a private place for themselves. "I'm on the look for a job," the man said. "The dust blew so mean last night I thought to shelter my family here for a while." The 2 little kids turned their big eyes from Miss Freeland back to their father. "I can't have my wife sleeping in the cold truck, not now, not with the baby coming so soon." Miss Freeland said they could stay as long as they wanted. February 1935. Family school. Every day we bring fixins for soup and put a big pot on to simmer. We share it at lunch with our guests, the family of migrants who have moved out from dust to depression and moved into our classroom. We are careful to only take so much to eat, making sure there's enough soup left in the pot for their supper. Some of us bring in toys and clothes for the children. I found a few things of my brother's and brought them to school, Little feed sack nighties, so small, so full of hope. Franklin never wore a one of these nighties Ma made him, except the one we buried him in. The man, Buddy Williams, helps out around the school, fixing windows and doors and the bad spots in the steps, cleaning up the schoolyard so it never looked so good. The grandma takes care of the children, bringing them out when the dust isn't blowing, letting them chase tumbleweeds across the field behind the school. But when the dust blows, the family sits in their little apartment inside our classroom, studying Miss Freeland's lessons right alongside us. February 1935. Birth. One morning when I arrive at school, Miss Freeland says to keep the kids out, that the baby is coming and no one can enter the building until the birthing is done. I think about Ma and how that birth went. I keep the kids out and listen behind me, praying for the sound of a baby crying into this world and not the silence my brother brought with him. And then the cry comes, and I have to go away for a little while just to walk off the feelings. Miss Freeland rings the bell to call us in, but I'm not ready to come back yet. When I do come, I study how fine that baby girl is, how perfect, and that she is wearing a feed sack nightgown that was my brother's. February 1935. Time to go. They left a couple of weeks after the baby came, all of them crammed inside that rusty old truck. I ran half a mile in their dust to catch them. I didn't want to let that baby go. "Wait for me," I cried, choking on the cloud that rose behind them, but they didn't hear me. They were heading west, and no one was looking back. February 1935. Something sweet for moonshine. A couple more pages. Ashby Derwin and his pal Rush had themselves a fine operation on the Cimarron River, where the water still runs a little, though the fish are mostly dead from the dust floating on the surface. Ashby and Rush were cooking up moonshine in their giant metal still on the bank when Sheriff Robertson caught them. He found jugs of finished whiskey and barrels of mash. He found 2 sacks of rye, and he found sugar, 1,000 pounds of sugar. The government men took Ashby and Rush off to Enid for breaking the law, but Sheriff Robinson stayed behind, took apart the still, washed away the whiskey and the mash, and thought about that sugar. All that sugar. 1/2 ton of sugar. Sheriff decided some should find its way into the mouths of us kids. Bake for them, Miss Freeland, he said. Bake them cakes and cookies and pies. Cook them custard and cobbler and crisp. Make them candy and taffy and apple pandoey. Pandoey. I don't know what that is. Apple pandoey. D. Pandoey. I don't know. I'll have to look that up. These kids, Sheriff Robinson said, ought to have something sweet to wash down their dusty milk. And so we did. February 1935. Dreams. Each day after class lets out, each morning before it begins, I sit at the school piano and make my hands work. In spite of the pain, in spite of the stiffness and scars, I make my hands play piano. I've practiced my best piece over and over till my arms throb, because Thursday night the Palace Theater is having a contest. Any man, woman, or child who sings, dances, reads, or plays worth a lick can climb onto that stage. Just register by 4 p.m. and give them a taste of what you can do, and you're in, performing for the crowd, warming up the audience for the Hazel Herd players. I figure if I practice enough, I won't shame myself. And we sure could use the extra cash. If I won $3 first prize, $2 second, $1 third. But I don't know if I could win anything. Not anymore. It's the playing I want most, the proving I can still do it without hourly making excuses. I have a hunger for more than food. I have a hunger bigger than Joyce City. I want tongues to tie and eyes to shine at me like they do at Mad Dog Craddock. Of course, they never will. Not with my hands all scarred up, looking like the earth itself, all parched and rough and cracking. But if I play right enough, maybe they would see past my hands. Maybe they could feel at ease with me again, and maybe then I could feel at ease with myself. February 1935. The competition. I suppose everyone in Joyce City is beyond all that way to Felt and Keys and even Guymon came to watch the talent show at the Palace Thursday night. Backstage, we were 17 amateur acts, our wild hearts pounding, our lips sticking to our teeth. Our urge to empty ourselves top to bottom made a sorry sight in front of the famous Hazel Herd players. But they were kind to us, helped us with our makeup and our hair, showed us where to stand, how to bow, and the quickest route to the toilet. The audience hummed on the other side of the closed curtains. Ivy Huxford kept peeking out and giving reports of who was there and how she never saw so many seats filled in the palace, and that she didn't think they could squeeze a rattlesnake into the back even if he paid full price. The place was so packed. My father told me he'd come once the chores were done. I guess he did. The Grover boys let us off. They worked their charm. Baby on the sax, Jake on the banjo, and Ben on the clarinet. The Baker family followed, playing just like they do at home every night after dinner. They didn't look nervous at all. The tap dancers, they rattled the teeth in their jaws and the eyeballs in their skulls, their feet flying, their arms swinging, their mouths gaping. Then Sonny Lee Hallam trembled and leaped onto the stage, the sweat flying off her, spotting the palace floor. Marsh Wharton struggled out, his accordion leading the way. George and Agnes Harkins ran their fingers over the strings of their harps, made you want to look up into the heavens for angels. But only scenery and lights and ropes and sandbags hung overhead, and then there was me on piano. I went somewhere near the backside of the middle, getting more and more jittery with each act till my time came. I played Bye Bye Blackbird my own way, messing with the tempo, and the first part sounded like I used just my elbows, but the middle sounded good, and the end. I forgot I was even playing in front of the packed Palace Theater. I dropped right inside the music, didn't feel a thing till after, when the clapping started, and that's when I noticed my hands hurting straight up to my shoulders. But the applause made me forget the pain. The audience roared when I finished. They came to their feet, and I got third prize, $1, while Mad Dog Craddock singing 1 second, and Ben Glover and his crazy clarinet took first. The tap dancers pouted into their mirrors, peeling off their makeup and their smiles. Bertie Jasper claimed it was all my fault she didn't win, that the judges were being nice to a cripple. But the Harp and Hawkins were kind, and the Hazel Herd players wrapped their long arms around me and said I was swell. And in the sweaty, dim chaos backstage, I ignored the pain running up and down my arms. I felt like I was part of something grand, but they had to give my ribbon and my dollar to my father, because I couldn't hold anything in my hands. February 1935. The piano player. Arlie says, "We're doing a show at the school in a week, Billy Joe. Come play with us." If I asked my father, he'd say yes. It's okay with him if I want to play. He didn't even know I was at the piano again until the other night. He's making some kind of effort to get on better with me now, since I did him proud at the palace. But I say, no, it's still too soon after the contest and it hurts too much. Arlie doesn't understand. Just practice more, he says. You'll get it back. You can travel with us again this summer if you like. I didn't say it hurts like the parched earth with each note. I don't say one chord and my hand screams with pain for days. I don't show him the swelling or my tears. I tell him, I'll try. At home, I sit at Ma's piano. I don't touch the keys. I don't know why. I play Stormy Weather in my mind, following the phrases in my imagination, saving strength, so that when I sit down at the piano, it's not Ma's when everyone crowds into the school for Arlie's show. No one can say that Billy Joe Kelby plays like a cripple. March 1935. No good. I did play like a cripple at Arlie's show. Not that Arlie would ever say it, but my hands are no good anymore. My playing's no good. Arlie understands, I think. He won't ask again. March 1935. And we're going to stop there for now, friends. Great job. Have a fabulous rest of your day. Bye-bye.